Hey there, it's Melanie here. I've got another Amplify tip. Today's tip is inspired by a conversation I had with a former client who's coming back to do some more coaching. And the question that he brought to me was, Melanie, like I have no problem getting leads. Like I have so many leads, but I'm overwhelmed and I just don't feel organized. And so today, what I want to talk about is how to move out of those very friction filled states that many of us get into as we're growing our business and move more into what I call like flow energy. And this is a concept that I think is often understood where we think flow means there's never any challenges, there's never like any problems, and we just kind of like do whatever we feel like doing. And that might be part of flow. But what I'm talking about is how to really like create more ease and grace in your growth process. So today I want to ask you a few questions and I want you to really check in with yourself. And I want you to notice if there is a part of you that is growing in a way that feels overwhelming, that feels like it's not sustainable. Maybe you're feeling like, wow, there's a lot of things that I don't really like doing that I'm having to do now. So let's just check in. Are you spending time, a lot of time doing things that like steals your energy and you feel depleted? You feel deflated, maybe de-energized, like you're like depleting your inspiration. Okay, so doing a lot of things to grow your business that are taking energy from you. An example of this is, let's say you're not like in love with writing and you're spending a lot of time writing content like emails. If you've got a podcast, you're like doing show notes. And you're like, why am I doing this? Like, this is not giving me energy. As a matter of fact, I feel drained. I'm always behind. I'm like a bottleneck to getting it done. So that would be an example of things that take energy from you. And you may end up feeling like you want to spend more time being the talent. So this is an interesting growth conundrum that comes up sometimes, especially as you start to get some traction with your business. I have to say, I was so excited talking to this former client of mine who's also become a friend over the years. And he was saying, like, you know, the first time we worked together, like we were working only on the mindset. Like I was like, there was a lot of fear. And now I'm working on, I got no problem with money. Money's flowing. Now it's like I'm kind of losing track of things and things are breaking down. And so he's spending time putting out fires and figuring things out instead of doing the things he loves, like creating YouTube videos or recording a podcast or coaching a client, right? And so what happens is there becomes a moment when we are getting successful results that the flood of all of this new activity, it's almost like we're like the success is pushing us to have to become a new version of ourselves in order to grow, to manage the growth, I should say. And so you have to adjust and course correct with this new version of your business. What is my role need to shift, or what do I need to be willing to do differently so I can continue to spend time being the talent and I don't get pulled into being a project manager, doing all the like the minutia stuff that just drains you. And one of the signs you might be in this state is you spend a lot of time being busy. Like having stuff to do is not a problem for you, but maybe you're questioning, am I actually productive? Is it really driving meaningful results to me? And you can spend a lot of time being busy pushing incremental growth that does not produce exponential results. What I mean by that is oftentimes what we have to do to get to the point of your success right now is not going to produce the results that you need where you're going next. And incremental growth is focusing on what is the very next thing I'm going to do. It's literally like you're taking a step forward, you're taking a step forward, taking a step forward. And that's great. We want you moving forward. But it's very easy to slide backwards, to get derailed if you are always in small incremental steps. This is why one of the things that when I teach thinking bold and like playing bigger and like stretching yourself, I'm always focused on like, all right, so what's the big leap? What's the next big growth step? And that's where exponential growth happens. And exponential growth, think of it like a slingshot. You get shot forward. You might slide back a little bit here and there, but you're never going to go backwards because you've moved exponentially forward. Now, one of the things about thinking like this, I want to be really clear, and this came up with my client, is just because we are creating this next level, like we're tapping into flow state, it's not always like you need a new business model or you've got to add new offerings. That's not the goal. What you have may already be working. We just have to figure out a more effective way to harness the growth that's happening and remove you from being a bottleneck to that growth, because our mind still thinks in the old paradigm. How do I do it all? Or how do I manage what's coming in? What if we have to radically shift the perspective to, all right, so I've now got a $500,000 business, or I've now got $1 million business, and I'm not worried where the next sale is coming from. That's taken care of. Now I got to figure out, how do I radically shift how I grow the business or manage the business that's coming in? That might be your next big leap. That might be the bold move. So I think it's worth looking at, like, where are you at? And again, I know today's tip is really meant for the people who are experiencing that radical shift in growth. I had some clients that I worked with probably a good 14 years ago. You may know them, Callan Rush and Justin Livingston, and they came to me because they were in that very conundrum. The growth was phenomenal. There was no problem with new clients and selling out their programs. The problem was in how they were showing up with it, trying to hold on to all of the steps. And sometimes in that moment, the way to create more flow is to come back to some basics. What is it that you do that produces those magical outcomes, and you want to do more of it? Okay, that's you being the talent. That's you being in your superpower. And two, what am I spending a lot of time doing that's not producing any results? And you got to ask yourself, like, why are we doing this? So you may need to reevaluate certain things that you're spending a lot of time on. I was one of my clients in the accelerator program she's had a podcast for many, many years. And she was starting to question, like, why am I spending all this money and time producing a podcast? I don't feel like I'm getting the results. Okay. And this is a common one that I have a lot of people come to me for. So we have to really look at, is it something we optimize, or is it something we delegate or delete because it's just not producing results and it's not aligned anymore? And then the third thing is like a mindset shift and a strategy shift to, it's time to move out of like incremental focus and move to exponential focus. Okay, so how do I make this big leap? And you don't have to know how to do it. You just have to decide what it is. And sometimes that's the challenge I will give people. Like when I'm helping them really look at like, what is the key thing that's going to really move the needle is who you're being, the role you're playing, the way you're approaching getting the day-to-day things done. You may not ever be able to get where you want to go because you're still holding on to everything. I did a interview yesterday with, I think it's called Game On Girlfriend podcast. Yes, that's what it was, with Sarah Walton. I'm really excited for it to come out because one of the big things we're talking about is like how to radically shift the game and to recognize you have to let go more if you want to grow more. And that is the huge thing. So let's look at some actions. If you recognize like, yeah, I don't have a lot of flow energy. I'm frustrated. I feel a lot of friction around how things are going to get done. You may have things out there that you know that need to be different. You need more support. You need more clients. You need more organization, right? Like something out here feels like it needs to get fixed, but we have to start right in here. And the first step is to really look at what are the activities you're doing that are keeping you locked in to this friction state. What is creating this kind of frustration for you? And what are the activities you're doing that are not producing energy, results, and momentum? So let's not giving you energy. Is it something you can delegate? And you're probably like, Melanie, I would love to delegate it. I would love to delegate it. Why aren't you? You may be in fear, like, how do I pay for it? How do I make it profitable? And I will guarantee you, as long as you are stuck in that thought pattern, you will stay stuck where you are. You had to sometimes take a leap of faith, or you have to really look at, like, all right, so ask a better question, right? What is the question I need to ask? The question I need to ask is, all right, so what would have to happen for me to get that off my plate? Well, I need to find somebody who knows what they're doing, and I might need to sell about 10 more of whatever my widget is in order to cover that expense and make it profitable. Great. Now let's make that happen. Okay, so figuring out how is not the right thing. It's figuring out what needs to happen, then figure out how. Because if you try to figure out how before you're committed to the outcome, you'll always talk yourself out of it. You'll find reasons it won't work. So first, figure out, what are you doing? What are the activities that you're stuck in that are not giving you energy or are draining energy from things that will move the needle for you? Second, what are you investing time in that's not producing results? Are there strategies that you are in motion on, and maybe you create some consistency, but they're not producing the desired results? What could we do to fix that? Do we need to optimize your approach and figure out how to make it perform better? Do you need a small tweak, maybe in the messaging or in the positioning or in what you're, how it's all flowing, just to make it work better? Or is it so out of alignment, it's not even worth it? You got to just walk away. Cut the cord, right? Cut the cord, make it go away. Sometimes that's the most powerful way to get back in flow. And third is moving you out of that incremental growth, like really think about what's next, and like, where am I going? Like, what's the big leap? And I know many of us entrepreneurs are not wired like this. We don't think big. We think, what do I do next? And I think that's part of the trap, is that oftentimes we get stuck in these painful businesses that don't produce big results because we're just figuring out, what do I do next? And there's no big vision. Even if the vision is like, I want to work 4 hours a week, or I want to get to a place where my membership is 1,000 people instead of 100 people, or it's, I want to get out of doing these kinds of activities in my business. I want to do more of these kinds, so I feel more energized and inspired. There's no wrong way to define the big leap. There's no wrong way to decide what bold looks like. Okay. So I really, truly feel that this is an opportunity for everyone to get out of their own way, to stop being a growth bottleneck, to look at where maybe they're overcommitting, they're lacking boundaries, they're lacking clarity, so that you're producing more flow, because you're doing the things that give you energy. You're doing the things that are magnetic to your ideal clients, and you're doing the things that, they're expansive. They're going to create more traction. An entrepreneur who spends more time in flow, feeling energized and expansive, is 100 times more magnetic than somebody who is doing things because they have to, but they're resenting it and they're overwhelmed and things are falling apart all the time, right? So let's look at that. How can you create more flow energy in your business? Give me a little shout out in the comments. Let me know what will work for you, okay? All right, we'll be back again next week. I'm going to be answering even more of the questions, and we're going to start challenging a little bit of the assumptions we've been making about business growth, and what does it really take to amplify your authority in business.